When you look at sales for MLB the Show, you will realize that the unofficial numbers that we have are not impressive. Unless, of course, these unofficial numbers are lying, and the one official source of numbers that put a lot of these other numbers in context are lying, then we know that this game, in my opinion, was at risk of causing huge financial strain on PlayStation. Let's go ahead and see what the likelihood of this game, being a comfort level for PlayStation was before it showed up on Xbox. And then let's juxtapose it with the rumors right now that we're hearing that Lego Horizon Adventures could be coming to Xbox in the coming months. It's very interesting along the lines of all of this, because you're going to see something that I think it's a trend. And I'm going to go ahead and make some of my tinfoil hat, predictions here. First of all, when you look at MLB The Show sales on Wikipedia, there's nothing official so far, but the sales are all teetering on one. I think the max here is MLB The Show 99 at about 2.52 million copies sold, and I think in total around 1998. But then once you keep going, you will realize that even on the PS3, PSP, PS2 combinations, the game was just struggling until around this time, where BusinessWire.com reported that in their business reports that PlayStation 5 had surpassed about 10 million units sold. This is right as the PS5 console came out. And then also reported that Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales from Insomniac Games had sold 6.5 million copies. They reported that MLB The Show 21 from San Diego studio was the fastest selling title in history, with more than 2 million copies and an asterisk sold across the platform. The number that they asterisked back then was pretty much that it was around the time as of July 2021. This report came, I think, around July 28th. So those numbers would have increased, and the game went to Game Pass at the time. MLB published the game on Xbox and also on Game Pass. They're the ones handling that. However, San Diego studio was the one developing that game. If we talk studio finances, if this game was not successful, and with the rising expense of a lot of video games, I strongly believe that MLB The Show studio, San Diego studio, would have been facing cuts. Simple. Very simple. I mean, look at Concord's Firewalk studio. After all the money that got sank in, they basically shut the studio down. Then they shut down another studio named Neon Koi or something like that. Then they also shut down another studio called Deviation Games. Even Xbox themselves shut down studios of games that were not necessarily successful, like Arcane Austin's Redfall. So when you look at studio expenses across the board, it was, in my opinion, necessary that this game sell copies. And the smartest strategy to take in that regard was to ensure that this particular game was profitable. Even bigger studios right now, who are making games like Guerrilla Games and Naughty Dog and Sucker Punch, these studios are not exempt from reduction of force as well, because even though they may not close the entire studios, they could reduce cost, especially if the game does not recoup their funds, as we saw in the Insomniac leak, where Insomniac was basically being seen that Sony was pushing for them to reduce some of their workforce by 75 people. Remember that leaked document that many PlayStation fans don't like seeing about PlayStation because they're like, we can't vouch for it because we can't find any other sources. However, the other material in the leaks are out there, like the Marvel Spider-Man build, the Wolverine build, and also this article. Insomniac leak shows Sony pressured studio to lay off employees. And these were all verified by different aspects of the media, which is funny, right? Because if you want to cite one with denying the other one, you're basically picking and choosing and cherry picking. So we're going to look at this and see even a big studio like Insomniac, who's a big money maker, facing this. Sony pressured Insomniac Games to cut costs by laying off employees, a trend that was prevalent in the gaming industry in 2023. The recent data leak from Insomniac Games revealed information about upcoming games, including unannounced X-Men game for 2030. Sony's concern over rising development costs led to requests for staff cuts at Insomniac Games and other first-party studios, including Visual Arts Group and Media Molecule. Recently discovered data from Insomniac shows that Sony pressured them to lay off their people. When you look at this, they were talking about the amount of data, about 1.6 terabytes of data, and they also talked about exactly how many. I think it was about 75. I don't know exactly. I said 75, but oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's right here. To remove around 50 to 75 people from the studio. They recommended that these people be put on, improvement plans. That was the way they wanted to go about it. But when the leak came out, the press now knew Insomniac backed away from those layoffs. Do you see what I mean? Because PlayStation plays the game of perception and the press. That's what they want to do now that everybody knew it. And then this was where it was spoken about that Sony was concerned that Spider-Man 2 costing, around about a $30 million more than its original budget was already, needing to sell about 7 million units to turn a profit. When we go back now to the Lego game, do you see where I can now make from a deductive perspective that this game, having not necessarily had what I think are the strongest sales, is needing sales somewhere, and more than likely has to go find it from the final source that you can sell games on that it did not launch on. Let's go ahead and break it down. Let's kind of start again. We got to kick this thing off little by little because, a lot of our fellow PlayStation fans, they're very, it's hard for them to kind of get a memo as to what's going on. Now, the quality of the game is under question, but I don't care. I'm not concerned about that. This is not my fight, okay? However, this game, if you look at its reviews on Steam, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. For a AAA studio, Guerrilla Games, to basically go ahead and launch a game that has only 300 and something reviews with a 50-50 mixed score for a PlayStation game. I made the video that PlayStation had some of the best reviewed games on Steam. They do. But this game is an eyesore to see in that regard. And so already they're understanding that, man, we are hemorrhaging cash. If we look at the Steam, DB for Lego Horizon Adventures, if we go back and take a look at what the, concurrent play accounts were, Steam DB, Lego Horizon, it was terrible. It was insane. It was worse than Concord. And I think this is what they're looking at now. That doesn't mean they're going to close Guerrilla Studios, but if they are not able to find a way to capitalize on the sales of this game, it is not going to be funny at the end of the day. They're going to need something in a sense to ensure that people can actually buy this game, and they will need to put it in front of Xbox players. And hopefully Xbox players are going to go ahead and buy this game. There are 36 people playing the game right now on Steam. They did a day one launch on Steam and nobody touched it. Well, again, it's that PlayStation Plus account thing that's part of it. But again, that aside, that's their fault. That's not the fault of the market. The market does not want PlayStation Plus. PlayStation needs to understand that on Steam. Simple. So where else are they going to go pawn this game at? Either they leave this game to die with no sales and find a way to cut costs, which will affect the developers in Guerrilla. Yes, PlayStation's not going to lose money on anybody's behalf. They already have the $700 and a $1,000 console. Do they look like they're interested in taking a loss? They're not. They're not. Their margins don't seem to be in that place where they want to go ahead and take this kind of loss. 2 in a year. They already basically deleted Concord. Which they can probably spread that loss over many years and save on taxes. But this is insane, though. So what I think, and I said this in my last video with the Lego side, is that when you think about MLB the Show, think about its success after having moved to Xbox. It's already proven path for PlayStation. San Diego Studios can now breathe easy. Xbox is carrying their game. Oh, yeah, because y'all PlayStation fans didn't buy it. We're looking at Lego right here. Doesn't look like y'all are buying that one too. Astro bought one game of the year. That game will also need to go to PC very quick. Very quick. Some people have said they designed the game around the DualShock 5. Oh, yes, they need to go ahead and design the DualShock 5, the DS5, to work with that game on PC so that PC players who actually like platformers and enjoy those kinds of games can actually buy more copies of the game so that these studios can stay open, or so that their workforce doesn't have to be, in quotes, reduced. This is what's going on. Insomniac and all these other bigger studios that are in that place, in that position too, where they make these big games that are supposedly tentpole games. If these tentpole games are not bringing in a profit to actually match the hundreds of millions of dollars that are being spent as the budget of these games, then PlayStation is going to probably have to make amends and make cuts. But think about it as a gamer, from the gamer perspective. This is all so that you can feel warm in your belly inside. I think Xbox has an idea and a sense as to what's going on. They see it because they've had to close studios, and they basically get dragged more when they close a studio than PlayStation does, because everybody swears that they're evil and all this stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that they're the good guys. However, neither am I saying that PlayStation and Sony are the good guys either. So again, we'll wait and see. If Lego Horizon makes its way to Xbox, then I think my theory, would I even call it a theory? Then I think the market is actually much more brutal than we could think of at the end of the day. Talk to me in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.